Good morning, traders. Today is Thursday, December 16th. My name is Charles, and this is the Pirate Traders live stream. Okay, well, for what it's worth, last night when I said that I felt like the all time highs were the next target, I did not think they were going to do it that very night in the overnight session. So that to me is obviously bullish, the fact that we made new all time highs last night. And of course, anytime we make all time highs in the overnight, we consider that to be weak because they are always eventually repaired by the regular trading hours. So there's just a slightly higher probability that the regular trading hours will need to get up there and repair that at some point. So what we're watching for today is essentially yesterday, with that massive push higher that we had after the Fed minutes came out, we literally pushed right back through the balancing area that we had created previously. And so now it's tough to call the exact high of the balancing area. You know, last month it was up here at 47.07. You could call pretty much the high of the 15th, the balancing area high, and that was also right where the high of yesterday was. So that sort of area could be considered the balancing area high. I really like this node that the overnight created right in this area. So pretty much to me today, the way I look at it is, if the market pulls back down, which it should, I mean, we should get some counter auction to the overnight inventory being net long. If it can find support right around yesterday's high, that to me will be good support for continuation higher. If it starts to pull back down into yesterday's range, then we're looking at a look above and fail of that balancing area, which would then target the opposite end at 46.67-ish, okay? Or maybe that node just below it at 63. So to me, this is bullish. I feel like, I'm not trying to play pundit on, the news right now or anything like that. But my guess as to why the market was so bullish yesterday with that news was that they've been waiting for it. People have hated hearing the Fed continue to say that inflation is transitory. And so now that they've heard, finally the Fed is taking a hawkish view, traders are getting what they want. Investors are getting what they want. So that's the only explanation for how they got so bullish so quickly. But I won't fight momentum. The momentum is to the upside. So this morning as we open, I'm going to be looking for a counter auction to the downside because so much of the overnight inventory was net long. And then if it can find support above yesterday's high or right around that area where yesterday's high was, 47.01 to 47.07, somewhere in that area, I will look to go long for continuation back up to repair that now weak all-time high that we created last night. But if they fail to find support there and they start to trade lower, I will look to target the opposite end of that balancing area at 46.06. And of course, if they don't come down here, if we get a straight up gap and go and they don't come down here and test the highs at all, that is the most bullish scenario. So let's see how this market plays out. Okay, so it looks like they do want to try to backfill this gap a little bit. Let's see how far down they push it. One interesting gap trade that I learned from Shadow Trader that's worth considering is if the market immediately pushes higher right when it opens and then it pulls back down, you go short as it crosses that opening price with your stop just above the high that it created. And then you can also, once it gets a few points lower, you can go ahead and move your stop to a tick below break even. So you can't lose money on the trade. And gaps do have a pretty high probability of filling. So it's a decent trade to get yourself into. Jay Trader, good morning to you. Diego, Philip, Ray from Las Vegas today. Good morning to you guys. Cyrus, yeah, you didn't quite make it first in today. That's all right. We appreciate you. Mediterra opening above 26.25. Could go. We weren't quite up there. But we could definitely get the gap fill and go. That is certainly a possibility here. Cyrus, thoughts on backfilling yesterday during today's regular trading hours? Yeah, I mean, if we get back into this balancing area from before, if we don't find support around yesterday's high, I think there's really high probability we head down to the balancing area low. But I assume we'll find support there. If we don't, then yeah, at least the backfill of the single prints, seems reasonable. But my guess is that's not what's going to happen today. I think, of course, I'm open to it as a possibility. And it's not like I'd be shocked to see it. But I think the market wants to find support here and make new all-time highs. What will be interesting at the end of today to go back and look and see is what are people going to buy today? Are they back to buying tech, or are they still just going to keep piling in more money into the safer plays? How aggressive will the market become? How risk on? That will be interesting. All right, so we got about half a gap fill. Now we're back above the opening price. So that's setting us up for a potential gap and go here, which is the most bullish scenario. Good morning, David. Good morning, Kim. What a fantastic rip higher. Fantastic unless you were on the sidelines, afraid to trade it. Like me. I just sat and watched that sucker go. I was like, I'm not messing with that. Stephen, good morning to you. Arthur, good to see you. Naif is back with us. Good morning. All right. Well, obviously, we have to give the internals some time to absorb this overnight inventory, but it'll be bullish to me if they can keep it above the zero line on the ticks. Two Manifs, good morning to you. Nor Auto Trader, good to see you. Where is all the money coming in from? Well, I would say yesterday a lot of it would have been unwinding short positions. The people who had bought, like insurance for a potential sell off. And so today will be their opportunity to start to bring in new money if that's what they're going to do. Scooball, good morning to you. All right, yeah, it looks like on the NQ they are a little bit weaker than the ES. They had a look above and fail of that previous balancing area. So that increases the odds they're going to trade down to the opposite end at 16,170. ES still just trying to fill that gap, looking for support around yesterday's high. Peter, hello to you, and Marco, welcome. Cotton Dog, did I note the double distribution in the overnight? I did not. Salmon River, good morning to you. All right, so if they're going to hold it up today, this is where we should start to see buyers stepping in. They really should keep those ticks above the zero line. Okay, looks like they are going to get the gap fill. NQ bearish question mark. Let's see. Nope, still just heading down towards that balance area low. Right, if we look back over here to the left, it has spent a lot of time bouncing around between these levels. And so this is just a continuation of that. I would say if they don't find support by like 16,158, if they don't find support by there, they're looking to backfill the single prints from yesterday. So the target becomes 16,042. But I'd give the buyers a chance. We're right at the zero line. Okay, not good taper on the low here on the ES. So I still think they got to fill that gap to yesterday's high. It is interesting to note, though, as soon as they got into this node here, where the overnight spent so much time and brought in so much volume, to the tick, as soon as they got in there, support stepped in. So that is bullish that it'll hold if they test it again. Peter, you like the tick strike? I couldn't do it. I think it's a brilliant idea, though. But for me, I couldn't live stream and have that thing clicking in the background. It would drive people crazy. Salmon weak-hand buyers front-running the prior range high. Oh, yeah, they got bad taper down there, so they probably need to visit it at least once more. Arthur, what is tick strike? There's a company called financialjuice.com. It's their product. I use it for the for news. They do really great, like simple, just headlines that pop up throughout the day, and they make them red when it's something that's like important for trading. And you can like pick what things you want to focus on. But anyway, they have this thing called Tick Strike. You can do it through the website here, or you can download a separate app, and it like essentially it makes like a noise to indicate when volume is coming in. So like right down here, as volume started to pile in, as the buyer started to pile in right there, it would have gotten really loud. It would have been like it would have been like letting you know. And the idea is that the way traders used to trade in the pits when they would trade in person is they would actually trade off of the volume in the room. As things would start to get louder and louder and louder, they would recognize there's a shift in the market. You know, support is coming in or resistance. If people are yelling, buy, 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 gimme, 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 then they knew it's support. If they were yelling, sell, 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 they knew that it was resistance. And so pit traders actually had an edge over everybody else because they were in the room and they could hear the volume coming in. So that's the idea behind it. A new digital way to mimic that. Phoenix, I just use laptop fan noise. That is a real thing too. That when the tempo starts to pick up, your computer's fan will crank up because there's like tons of data flying in. But of course, that's not measuring volume. All right. Well, if this little node right here that we're in can't hold a support, I do think they'll come back down and fill that gap. Just because of the bad taper here at the low. As Salmon mentioned, that would have been short-term traders piling on right there. So if if the market starts to pull back down, they'll quickly take profits. But if this can hold, it is a gap and go, which is bullish. Arthur, yeah, it costs money. It'll cost money. Donkey thinking this is a short. Yep, well, there you go. Broke back through that. We're definitely heading down towards that gap fill. tick starting to fall below the zero line. Wasn't enough buyers at that price level. When there's not enough buyers there, they got to take the market lower. Look for them around yesterday's high. I like pretty much anywhere above the closing price as potential support. Getting below that, we're looking at a look above and fail of the balancing area. Okay, so NQ once again looking for support between 16,140 and 16,170, right in that area. Okay, that's the gap filled. So now we're looking for support. Somewhere in this area here, in between 4,700 and the current price. Want to get those ticks back above the zero line. Okay, just created a poor low in the B period. We often get a push away from a poor low, so if it immediately repairs it, that is slightly more bearish. Oh, well, there it is. Poor low repaired. All right, well, the buyers need to step in here. If they don't, we're looking at a look above and fail. Ticks are staying below that zero line. They haven't stepped in yet. All right, well, I'm bearish to a pullback to the balance area low. Couldn't get the buyers. The NQ is right at that 20 moving average on the 15-minute candles. May get a bounce there. Also just created a poor low on the NQ. So any bounce might just be the push away, coming back to repair later. Oh, no, sorry. Not a poor low. My bad. I was too zoomed out. Couldn't see. CCT. Did anybody short or long just now? I'm sure there's people on both sides. We're getting two-sided trade. So we're likely to find some support in this node of volume around 86, maybe 88-ish. In the cumulative, but often when you look above and fail a previous balancing area, you trade to the opposite end. Tale of two markets. Nasdaq selling while ES is buying. Buyers stepping in. They're trying to get back through this resistance at 4,700. Can they break on through? So if they can break back through this resistance we're fighting in right now, say get up to like 47.04-ish, I'll go neutral, looking for a pull back down to find support in there. All right, well, they got through, and they're holding the ticks above the zero line, so I'm back to neutral. Not bullish yet, though. I want to see them now make some support. Okay, so now this 4,700 area should start to act as support as they pull into it. Trading Donkey shadows gap rule. Gap filled. Value nowhere near overlapping. Probably a late day spike. Yeah, I mean, it's way too early to make that call. But, I mean, yeah, value for yesterday. There's no way we're getting value down in there. Even if we took price down in there, to pull value down in there now would be a challenge. Yeah, so I mean, if the market goes sideways today, you could look for a late day spike for sure. Okay, they're not getting support. Come on, buyers. The Zen channel, so soon it's buy right. Fuck, it's too hard right now, man. The market hasn't figured out what it's going to do yet. You could buy right now with a tight stop. You could put your stop at, say, like 96. But probability of what's going to happen, I honestly just don't know. It feels 50-50 at this point. Can I flash NQ pretty please? I 100% can. NQ is still selling. They're trying to backfill those single prints from yesterday. So they broke through the 20 moving average, came back up, found resistance there. That is bearish to see. And they are pulling value lower with price. We talked about this yesterday. When the price is right at when the value area is right at the base of the price, it is often a sign that the market needs more excess to the downside. So I think it would not be unreasonable to start looking at the base of the single prints from yesterday as a potential target. Knife, at this point, if I was playing this, then the play would be to wait for an hour for more info. Yeah, I can get behind that. You might not get good placement on a trade if you wait an hour. But yeah, more and more it's feeling like it wants to go sideways to me. That was support. We just created support in the market there. So now I need to see how it reacts when it pushes into 47.11. Is that resistance that just starts a rotation in between the two? But at this point, that support would be buyable with a tight stop to target at least up to there. Cyrus, no concern for one time framing. Yeah, I mean, where I currently stand with one time framing in the A and B period, it's a complicated explanation, but this is what I feel like is probably the best way to look at it. It doesn't count as a trend down in the B period unless you get continuation in the C. But it does count as cessation if the C period were to now come and get above the B. That would still, which is exactly what happened yesterday, that would still increase the odds of rotation. So it's like you don't get short with the trend until it continues into the C, but you can assume rotation if A to B trends down and then C gets back above B. Fred, one time framing needs 3 periods to confirm from a swing high, swing low. Yeah, so like if the market is pushing lower, like let's say it made the B period low and then C period one time frame higher, D period one time frame higher, and then E period, you would see that as a trend up. I can get behind that. But if the market was rotational and that trend up was still below the high at the time of the cessation, I would still look for selling up in there. So you could go with it, but you'd want to take profits if the market can't get above that high. Fred, yeah, no, I like that. I like that way of looking at it. All right, so we're just pushing into some resistance up here around 47.10, 47.11. If this resistance causes the market to sell back down in here to the 4,700 level, I would assume rotation today. If it's able to break through and come back down and find support, that would be buyable for continuation higher. Internals look pretty bullish right now. Sometimes the market has to break before it can rally. We might start trending higher here. So once again, pulling back down and finding support around that 47.10, 47.11 level. Obviously, I would want one more push up. But another push up to find support there would be buyable. We looked into the previous balance. Failed to trade to the opposite end. So the breakout is the next play. Man, tricky morning. Man, this is such a tough call. Earlier it felt rotational, but now it feels like they want to start trending higher. So as I just said, I'm looking for support when we pull back down to that 47.10, 47.11 level. And let's see if we get support there. I would buy it with a stop below halfback and see what I can get for it. But if they come back down and they don't find support in there, the market's just going to go rotational. Cotton dog, give in to the V, Charles. Give in to the dark side. It could be. I don't know. It's so hard, man, because we're right on the top end of this previous balance, right? For weeks, the market has been having such a hard time getting up above this 47.07 level, and now it is. We've also got that all-time high, which is weak and in need of repair. So no matter what, no matter how you look at it, if we can get above the A period high, 47.23, if we can get above there and come back down and find support, that is definitely bullish to get to the all-time high. But in between now and then, tough call to make. All right, so let's see if we get that support right here around 47.11. If not, I'm confident to say we're rotating. But anyway, with that, I shall bid you all farewell. Happy Thursday. We'll see you tomorrow for the options expiry Friday. And yeah, have a great rest of your day, everyone. Off to the private stream.